Come on in. We're so glad you're here. Okay. Hello, Kate. Welcome. I'm excited about lemon loaf too. I love lemon loaf. My internet's been acting kind of strange today. So hopefully it works out and the live goes smoothly. I'm going to try and do this quickly, just due to my kiddo being kind of fussy and really wanting to go OUT. Unfortunately, I have to spell that because, well, kids at 2 are really starting to learn their words. So the recipe that I'm going to be using is off of sallysbakingaddiction.com, and I've never made it before, so I'm really excited about it. I always try a different recipe whenever I'm doing baking because maybe I can combine a couple and make it an even better recipe. So I will put this recipe in, I'll link the recipe in the description of the video after I'm done. And I'll also add the changes because there's going to be a couple of changes that I do make just because of the ingredients that I have. So first things first, I'm just going to start measuring everything, and because I'm using fresh lemons, I'm going to get the lemon zest and the lemon juice done right away as well. Warning, there might be some loud noises because my juicer is very, very old. It was actually from my mom, so it might be a little loud, so I apologize to anybody on their if they're listening on earbuds. Hello, Calcium. Welcome. And welcome to anybody else who's joining and just slurking. Right? That's the right term. Yeah, slurking. It's been a long morning. I apologize. Okay, so first things first. Just going to spray my 2 pans. This recipe also makes 2 loaves, which is good because my parents want one as well, and I promised they'd have one because they went grocery shopping for me yesterday. Hello, Lauren. Welcome. So I use avocado spray from Costco if I'm going to use like a spray like that. I'm kind of a crunchy mom, but not really a crunchy mom, so I try and do my best. It's all you really can do with the prices of food right now. And the usual first step for most recipes is to preheat your oven, but I don't like to do that until my batter is all done, just because I like to let it sit in the pan for a few minutes. It's a great spray, isn't it, Lauren? Like it works wonderfully. It's good on barbecues. It's good in pans. It's good for the air fryer. It's good for baking. It's just a great spray. And I like their actual like avocado oil too, but that's fairly expensive, so I don't buy that very often. And for the people who's just joining, if you missed where I'm using this recipe from, it's from sallysbakingaddiction.com. I will link it in the description after the live. And I'm just kind of going to go through this quick. I want to try and keep it 45 minutes. We'll see. We'll see how many distractions my young kiddo gives us. So, kiddo. Sometimes I hate using that term because of MLM people. Anyways, so first things first. This time I was much more prepared. I actually made sure I had all my ingredients and everything out, just because I wanted to be prepared. Perfect. I love these big jars. However, sometimes they have small jar mouths, so they don't fit all my measuring cups. Okay, so half a cup. And for this, you need 2 cups of flour. That was half a cup. 1 cup. Do my lemons next. 1.5. And there's my messiness. 2 cups. You know, I was going to be honestly amazed if I made it through this live without spilling at least a little bit of flour. So I'm not surprised in the least. I am generally fairly messy. Okay. It's pretty good calcium. It's really great when they have it on sale, and it generally comes in a pack of 2. I think you can also buy it at like Save on Foods, or I mean, I'm in Canada, so Superstore, that kind of thing. Okay, that's my ingredient, my phone. So I'm mixing all the dry ingredients first. So that's flour, poppy seeds. This recipe calls for baking powder, but I don't use baking powder. So as a kind of cool little tip, you can just split the baking powder amount in half, and that's how much baking soda you'll use. So for example, in this recipe, it calls for 1 teaspoon of baking soda, so I'll do that. And then it calls for a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. So what I'll do is I'll take that 1/2 teaspoon and I'll chop it in half. So it'll be a 1/4 teaspoon, and that kind of works itself out. You can also add, what was it? Cream of tartar, I believe it is, to add a little bit extra alkaline acidity. Oh, darn. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up, and I can put it in the description as a correction if I need to, or I'm going to actually try and edit this afterwards, so maybe I can add it in after. We'll see. So I don't have the necessary ingredient, especially because I can't remember it right now, so I'm just going to do the 1/2 amount of baking soda. So, first things first, 2 cups of flour, poppy seeds. This part is, I love poppy seeds. Poppy seed loaf. Lemon poppy seed loaf, even better. And this calls for 4 teaspoons of poppy seeds. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. My spice cabinet is way too filled, but I feel like that happens with everybody a lot of the time. So, making sure I don't miss anything in the chat. Next thing is the baking soda. So, one and there's my quarter. 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder. Okay. Next is a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So when it says salt, you can use whatever salt you want. I prefer to use just regular white table salt because Himalayan pink salt is kind of expensive, although you can buy like little packs of it at Dollarama. But I find it doesn't really make a difference, and I don't use very much of it, so table salt usually lasts a long time for my baking supplies. So that's why I use table salt. But for the most part, it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, so 1/4 teaspoon of table salt. And we're just going to give that a quick little whisk. Okay. And we can use this whisk again for when we whisk the sugar and the egg together. Actually, I need that. For my lemon juice and lemon zest. Can you guys see those flowers over there by my sink? I'm kind of hiding my French press at the moment, but my husband was sweet, and I was feeling down the other day when I wasn't feeling so well, and he went and picked me some wildflowers from our horse field. I was so touched. Just had to share with somebody. Okay. So, 1 large egg into a medium bowl. 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Now, I don't like using white granulated sugar, and the bag that I have is for my hummingbirds, and I'm out of cane sugar, so I'm going to be using golden brown sugar instead. It won't make that much of a difference when it comes to taste. So I need 3/4 cup of that. And tip when you're measuring out brown sugar, always make sure, like any kind of brown sugar, make sure to pat it as firmly as you can into the measuring cup. That way you get the most amount of brown sugar. Otherwise, it's too airy and you don't actually get the proper amount when measuring. So just firmly pat down, and it should come out of your measuring cup. I kept lifting it like a little sandcastle piece. Okay. That was 1/4 cup. This is a 1/2 cup. So again, when measuring brown sugar, pat down firmly to get the most amount of sugar in the cup so that it's not too airy and you actually get a proper amount. It should come out like a sandcastle piece. Okay, so that's my sugar. I actually need to fill my coffee, so that's over there. When I pat down the sugar too, I actually generally try to do it inside the bag, but I wanted to make sure to show you guys. That way I don't have to wash my hands after sugar, because, it's so sticky really fast. I'm just going to give that a good mixture. And I believe the recipe said until just combined. Yes, until combined. Okay, so I want to make sure there's no sugar lumps, just to be sure. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to add in the oil, the sour cream, the milk, and then I'll do the lemons after that. So first things first is, a 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. Now, I normally don't use vegetable oil either, so I'm going to use olive oil instead. It shouldn't give it that much of a different taste. I'd rather just use olive oil over coconut oil, because then I don't have to melt the coconut oil.
Whoa. Did you see that? You just went right into the picture of that farm.
Excuse me. And then it'll also be 1/3 of a cup of sour cream.
I think blue ones
You can also use plain yogurt or Greek yogurt too if you don't have sour cream. It'll do the same thing. Okay. And then 2/3 cup of whole milk, and the whole milk, the sour cream or yogurt, and the egg all should be at room temperature. So I would suggest taking it out like an hour before you're going to actually be using it. Okay. I'm going to do the milk first. So that's 2/3. Fun fact, when measuring out 2/3, you can literally just use a 1/3 twice and it makes 2/3. It blew my mind the first time I learned that. I thought I was incorrect, but no, it's actually true. Okay, now the sour cream. And speaking of coffee earlier. Oh, good. Okay. I live off coffee these days, I swear. And it's like the hazelnut coffee from Costco, too. So, what is the brand? Zavita, I think it is. It's a hazelnut medium roast. It's so good. When it was on sale, like, what was it, a month and a half ago or something, my mother-in-law took me shopping, and oh my gosh, we got 6 bags of it because, yeah, I couldn't pass up the sale. It was like $4 off. Okay. 1/3 cup sour cream, or plain yogurt if you don't have sour cream. Okay. And because I did the oil first, the sour cream slips right out and you have barely any waste. It's wonderful. Just wonderful. Okay. This back in the fridge. Okay, stay. Now, I'm going to whisk this together, and then I'm going to do the lemons. And the recipe here for the lemons, for lemon juice, it calls for 3 tablespoons, and for lemon zest, it calls for 1 tablespoon. Now, I scrolled down to where the notes are down at the bottom because I wanted to see if they mentioned how many fresh lemons to use. They said 2 medium. 2 medium will do for the juice, and 1 will do for the zest. So we're only going to zest 1, and then we're going to juice them both. Now, this recipe also has a glaze on it, but I'm not a fan of that type of glaze that it is. So I'm not going to do it. So I'm just going to add all the extra lemon juice in and make it a little extra tart because that is how my husband likes it. And he's going to love it when he comes home on Wednesday to some lemon poppyseed loaf. So I'm really excited for him to come home to that. Okay. So I was going to use a separate bowl to zest in, but I think I'm just going to zest right into my wet. So when you're going to juice lemons too, this is a great hack to make it easier and to make it softer. Take the lemon in your palm and roll it on the counter. By doing this, you're actually making the lemon softer, so it'll make the juice a lot easier to come out. When you're juicing, especially if you don't have like an electric juicer or even a hand press and you have to do it with a fork or a spoon, doing this makes it a lot easier to be able to do that when you don't have something. But even with an electric, I still roll it out just to make it a little bit easier. Okay, there we go. Good and soft. So, there we go. Microplane for the zesting. Hello, Jen. Hello. We are making a lemon poppy seed loaf from sallysbakingaddiction.com. I will link the recipe down below, and I'll add any other I'll make any notes on any of the changes that I may have done due to ingredients that I have. Now, question for you guys. On my last live, I was on a different angle, and I'm wondering which angle do you like better if you've watched the other live. If you haven't, could you go check it out and tell me? Because if this angle's better, I'll stick to this one. If it's not, I'll go back to the other way that I was before. Jen, lemon loaf is my favorite as well. I love lemon loaf. It's just so good. Okay. So I'm just going to microplane 2 fresh lemons because that is how much it'll take for this recipe. You want to make sure you get as much of the rind as you can. Be careful if you use a microplaner. They like to take skin. How was everybody's weekend? I know it's Monday today. I'm literally on my farm all by myself today. My farm. It's not even a farm yet because we don't have any animals. However, I am here all by myself. My husband is on a run. My parents are visiting my grandparents. And I figured I may as well do a live and talk with all my YouTube friends. I hope everybody's doing well. And I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I know I had a very chill one this time. I need to make blueberry lemon loaf soon. Blueberry and lemon is so good. That is so true. So when I was cooking at the restaurant that I worked at, called Horizons, it's no longer around, I actually used to make it was one of my favorites anyways, and I'm not big on blueberries, but I made this really awesome blueberry lemon creme brulee. That was fun. I like making creme brulee. Maybe I should do that again. Okay. So this is where the loud noise might come in. I have a very, very old juicer. It was my mom and dad's originally, as far as I know. And I inherited it, and it still works. And I try to keep it in the best working condition I can. Now, I've got little tiny cuts on my hands today, so hopefully the lemon juice doesn't affect me too bad. Can you guys hear it? Is it too loud? Okay. I just checked your last live, and I think your lighting is better in the other angle. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Lauren. I really appreciate that. It's probably because I'm right against the window. I wonder if covering it up would help. But I can always go back to the other way. That's just fine. Not as bad as the pear juicer. I don't think anything could be as bad as that thing. That thing was horrible. That was horrible. Coast on Wednesday and haven't done half of what I've needed to do. Oops, I know how you feel. Jen, I have been there. I don't like going to the coast. Depending on, I guess, which coast you're on. I'm from the Lower Mainland, and I'm not a fan of it, but you know, I have family there, so I go to see family.
What was that? Oh, you see another toy? Where?
You like this angle, but yes, the window puts me in shadow. I'll figure that out. Maybe I'll just have to get a curtain to cover it for when I do lives, if I do lives at this angle. I think depending on what I'm doing will depend on the angle that I use in my kitchen. Because I'm not going to lie, I've got a bit of a funny angle in my kitchen because I live in a mobile home. I'm black. Or I'm backlit. Yes, backlit. Sorry. I was a little far away from the screen when I tried to read that. I'm in Texas and we are going to the Gulf Coast. I'll be glad to be at the beach, but all the things before give me anxiety. Yeah, I know how you feel, Jen. All the stuff before packing makes me nervous as well. But, you know, you'll get through it. You'll be okay. And once you get to the beach, it will be wonderful. Ooh, Nika, be careful, baby girl. She was just running around my little island that I have right here, and I've got my cord kind of conspicuously draped, and just because that's the closest plug-in I have, and just about clotheslined herself. Okay. So, lemons, done. Normally, I save the seeds. This time, I'm not. And I can tell this thing is getting old. I've got seeds inside the juice. Give me 1 second. Okay, fine. Here. Sorry about that, everyone. My kiddo, my little one really likes to play with a silicone brush that I have that's supposed to be used for baking, but here we are. So, unplug, unlock, off, and I'm only going to strain this because it's old. The lemon seeds get in. What can I say? And I just want to make sure none actually get in the batter. Okay. All that good inside stuff that I want. So, this is going to hurt my fingers. Okay.
Oh, a clue. Where?
That goes in. There.
It's a clue.
Okay. Now that I have all of that, mix that up. Put this stuff over here. Take a sip of coffee. Okay. Now, my batter's not completely done yet. However, I am going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees. That way, by the time I'm done mixing and getting it into my pans, I should be good to go. The oven should be preheated. If not, it's okay to let your batter sit for a few minutes. Okay, and quickly, let's just check the recipe to make sure I'm actually doing this still right. I did read through the recipe before I started this. Okay. Now, the recipe does say only one pan. However, when I was reading the notes, I noticed that it says that this batter should be enough for 2. So I'm doing 2. And I'm taking the chance. Okay. Pour wet ingredients into dry ingredients and then whisk to completely combine Avoid over mixing. A few small lumps are okay. Okay, that's good to know. I'm really glad that they put that up in the recipe and not down in the notes, because sometimes they do that and then you overmix and the recipe doesn't turn out the way you want. Bake the bread for 50 minutes to an hour. Okay, so after I pop the loaves into the oven, I'm going to end the lovely stream and thank everybody for joining me. And then, like what I did with the bread, I will post a picture after and probably a small reel or something, a short showing it. I don't know, we'll see, but you'll definitely get to see a picture of the finished products in my community posts, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so nicely good and mixed. When I'm adding dry liquid like this, I like to make a little well in my flour, and you just kind of take either your hands, or in this case I used a spatula, and you just make a little hole in the middle. You learn this trick when you're making biscuits. It's extremely important to do that so that you get the proper mixture. I just like doing it because I think it works well. Okay.
So let's clean this up, and then we can look for more.
And I just put my whisk away, and I still needed that.
Looks like something's missing from that hanger. What do you think it could be? Well,
That, and mix it, mix. Do not over mix. Okay. A little lumpy is okay. Mix until just combined. And when you're doing this, make sure to scrape the sides as well. This is why I like to use a softer whisk for this kind of thing, because it kind of ends up working like a spatula, and you can scrape the sides quite well. Okay, so just making sure I get the bottom. Don't want to overmix. So okay. And that's what the batter looks like. That's going to go in there. My two pans. Okay. I'm just going to split this the best that we can so that they are more or less even. That way we don't have two separate baking times. And I have to say, this batter smells really good, and I'm really looking forward to when this comes out of the oven. And like I said, I will show you guys when that happens. Okay.
Supposed to go next.
Oh, and I dripped a little bit like that. Oh, always make sure to clean as you go too. Makes cleanup at the end a lot less of a hassle. Do have to say about that. Okay. So, fun tip when you have a bread like this. I think I'm more or less even. I really like this so that you don't have any air bubbles, and as well so that your bread is spread out as even as possible. What you're going to do to get the most even spread on your pan is you're just going to take your pan and lightly bang it on your counter. When you do that, it takes out all of your air bubbles, as well as helps spread it across a lot nicer so that you don't have all these lumps on top. And I'm extremely sorry about the loud banging on that. I know that's probably really rough on the ears. I'm sorry. Okay. That's all we're going to do. And because I have 2 of them, I don't want to put them in separately, so I'm going to put them on top of the baking sheet, and they can go in the oven like that. All right, so 1 baking sheet onto this, and we're just going to wait for the oven to heat up. It's almost there. Does anybody have any questions or anything? Hello, Nailkita. Oh, I'm late. I love lemon loaf. One of the things I miss his husband is all the lemon goodies. Oh, well, you can always catch the replay, and I will be linking the recipe for this in the description. It's from Sally's Baking Addiction. So you're always welcome to give it a try. It's actually a fairly easy recipe. It only takes 2 bowls. So, yeah, you never know. You might be able to bake it yourself. Might as well give it a try. Why not? Okay. We're just waiting until the oven preheats, and then I'm going to pop the 2 loaves into the oven and then let you guys all go and have a wonderful afternoon, evening, depending on what time zone you're at. And yes, thank you, Kate. Please don't forget to like the stream. Well, it's more on that. Lemon was his favorite, and it's hard to bake for one, but it's a good idea for myself. Yeah, and the great thing about loaves like this, or muffins and cookies, you can actually pop them into the freezer, and they will last a lot longer. With lemon loaves, or most bread loaves like this, they last probably about, I don't know, I'd say a month or 2 in the freezer, so you can just like take your time and enjoy it, and you can even pre-cut it before it goes in the freezer, so you can just take a couple slices at a time for whenever you have a craving. It's great. Loaves are great that way. It's one of my favorite things. I generally make like 4 or 5 different kinds at a time, and they all go into the freezer. I just don't have the time today. It's almost 9 p.m. here. Kate, if you don't mind me asking, are you like in the UK or something? You don't have to give exact location, and I totally get it if you don't want to say. Okay. Almost preheated. You are. I've never been. I've always kind of wanted to go, mostly to Scotland because I have family in Scotland. But my husband's been there, and he said it was nice. Where are we? 312 degrees. My oven takes forever to heat up. Maybe I should have started it. Started it at the beginning. Good idea. I have a stoneware of mini loaf pans, which is good for freezing. Yeah, they are. You can also just wrap it in saran wrap like 5 or 6 times, going in both directions. So if you take your loaf, you can wrap it this way and then turn it this way and wrap it like that. And if you do that twice, it'll be good in the freezer as well. Or you can put it in like a big freezer bag. Or if you collect old bread bags, you can do that as well. That's what I do. I'm a West Coast gal at heart, though. I grew up in Calgary and Vancouver. Ooh. I spent almost like, I moved a month before my 15-year anniversary of living in Vancouver. And to tell you, with the state that is apparently going on in the Lower Mainland right now, I'm glad my family and I got out when we did. I want to go back to Ireland. I'm so jealous. My parents are going to the UK next year for their anniversary. They met at Oktoberfest. Oh, so for their 50th, they're going to Germany. That is awesome. That is so cool. My parents were supposed to go to Prague and Czech Republic and do a whole tour of that right before the pandemic happened. And then the pandemic happened, and yeah, well, there goes that. Even before the pandemic, I would have had a hard time convincing my husband to get on a plane. He is not a fan of airports. So, yeah, we're doing a lot of road trips, which I'm okay with because there's so much of Canada to see, and even just in British Columbia. So, I'm good there. It's cool. Oh yeah, I have friends in Burnaby, and woof, how anyone can afford to live there, I can't even. And I lived in London. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I saw a rental thing not that long ago that said that it might. Was it a politician, a Canadian politician I heard talking about it? It might have been, where the average rate for a one bedroom in the lower mainland, like in Vancouver, is like $2,500 for a one bedroom apartment. No, you ma'am, no thank you. Okay, so the oven is preheated now to 350 degrees. I generally, when I'm doing baking, I like to have my my oven rack in the middle, and I'm sorry if you guys saw a puff of smoke come out of my oven. It was just some butter burning off from when I made garlic toast yesterday. It apparently did not like my oven very much. So, putting this in the oven now. And I'm going to, the recipe said 50 minutes to an hour. So I'm going to start at 50 minutes, and then I'll poke it with a barbecue stick. And if when I pull the barbecue stick comes out, it still looks doughy, do not take it out of the oven. Put it in for another 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how doughy it is. If it's only a little bit of dough, 5 minutes. If it's like almost covered, 10 minutes, and go from there. Everybody's oven is different, so it's kind of hard to tell how long exactly it will take. Generally, my oven, because it's one of those electric stove tops, it's pretty on point. So yeah, we'll start with 50 minutes, poke it with a barbecue stick. I can even update you guys in 50 minutes in my community posts if you want. And yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, one last check of the chat. Yes, that's why they're doing such a big thing next year. I'm getting their cats for like half the year, a 75th birthday, a 70th birthday, and a 5th. Wow, that's amazing. Congrats to your parents, Nilkita. That's amazing. Okay, so thank you everybody who came to my live. Thank you replay crew for watching the replay. And if you could please like and maybe comment what you'd like to see me do in the future. And maybe subscribe too. That would be awesome. I'm trying to get to 1K so that I can get monetized. Anyways, everybody have a wonderful Monday, and thank you for joining me. Bye.